Gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Markey. I'm sorry, the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Doyle, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sander, I'm very concerned that we ensure that any legislation we enact includes provisions that encourage our trading partners, especially in rapidly developing countries like China and India, to also make significant reductions in their greenhouse gas emissions. Now, in your testimony, you stated that you've engaged the leaders of both of these countries on the issue of market-based initiatives that address environmental concerns, and I'm interested to hear more about that. Specifically, what have you talked to them about, and how would you gauge their level of interest, and more importantly, their desire to actually start pursuing these strategies?
I believe that, let me share with you my experience. I've been to China 3 times in the last 5 months, and I've been to India 2 times. And we have started forming something similar to CCX called the Indian Climate Exchange. And it involves the same caliber of companies at the Chicago Climate Exchange, some of the leading industrialists, etc. We found that at least in the private sector, now I can't speak for their leaders, okay, and what the policy people was. I can tell you that there are the counterparts to my members like DuPont's, IBM's, Safeway stores, you know, Duquesne Power and Light. There's many of those that are over there that say, we want to learn what you're doing and we'd like you to help us establish an exchange. And our experience is that in the industrial sector, and make no mistake, even in China, there's a lot of wealth being created by the private sector. And those folks, not their leaders, again, I can't speak to the leadership, but I can tell you we sense the same latent demand for action among the industrialists there that we sensed here. Everybody said without the absence of a law, you would never get anybody to join a legally binding private sector agreement to reduce greenhouse gases. And we've engaged 10% of the United States in that debate with no law. And it's my business view that we can duplicate our efforts in Asia and attract them in. We have 5 Chinese companies, we have 2 Indian, we have 7 Brazilian companies that have taken on reduction targets. So our experience, again, one small piece of data. And then thirdly, I had the pleasure of being invited to speak at Beijing University. I happen to be a professor at Northwestern University. At that talk at Beijing University, I would say the students were every bit as literate, if not more, about cap and trade and emissions trading. They actually asked me the 21-year why the price in Chicago was this and how come it different from the price in Europe. So the universities there are teaching cap and trade to the students in China as we speak.
I'll bet you not many students in American universities know what cap and trade is.
Well, the other thing, which I think is just incidental to this, I came with Mandarin slides and threw them out after one presentation because everybody was bilingual.
Thank you, sir. I want to ask Mr. McLean now probably my last question. Mr. McLean, as Congressman Barton said, carbon poses different challenges than does SO2, and given your experience administering the acid rain program, how would you structure this program to meet these challenges? And do you think that we should take an economy-wide approach, as others have testified, or do you believe the committee should just focus on specific industries to meet the reduction goals?
Okay, I'll try to give you an answer based on experience that we've had. As I said, there are many policy instruments out there. Cap and trade is one of the market-based instruments. There are traditional regulation, and my office also runs voluntary programs. We have not applied cap and trade to the entire problem, either for SO2 or for NOx. We've applied it to those sectors where we thought it would work well, where it could be run effectively, and we could get a reduction.
So let me ask you this, because my time's almost up. What do you believe is the real-world achievable reduction that a perfect cap-and-trade program could bring about in the next 5 years?
I can't really give you an answer to that question.
You don't want to wing that one, huh?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see my time's up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Doyle.